One of our plaintiffs is named David Floyd. And this sort of typifies A, how the police practice works, and B, why the court system plays a role in this, particularly in challenging stop and frisk. And David Floyd lives in Brooklyn, and he came out of his house, and one of the neighbors that lived in the downstairs apartment had locked himself out of the house. David's relative owns the building. So the neighbor went to David and said, "David, can you help me get back in?" So David went upstairs and got the key ring, and they were trying to find out which key was the master key to this apartment. Meanwhile, the cops roll up. Now, all the cops see are two African-American men, one's older, one's younger, trying to get into this apartment. Now, for most of you that live in neighborhoods, particularly where you have upstairs and downstairs apartments and you have supers, there are a million explanations as to why these are just people trying to get into their apartment, but that's not what the police saw. That's not what the police saw. They saw two African-American men trying to bust into a building. So they stopped them. They put them up against the wall. They toss them down. Now so we go to the lawsuit. David files the lawsuit based on this. When the police officers are testifying in the context of the lawsuit, giving the reasons for why they stopped David, what they said was, in this neighborhood, there had been a history of break-ins, right? A history of burglaries. So it was very reasonable for the police officers to see these men in there in the middle of the day trying to get into the building and to go up to see what was going on because of this history of burglaries. Well, we have an expert witness who was a Columbia Law School professor named Jeff Fagan. And Jeff Fagan and the legal team said, let's put this to the test. And they looked at all of the police reports in that neighborhood for 1 month going forward and going back a couple of months. And what they found was, in the evidence that we presented to the court, there was one burglary in the prior 2 months. Yet virtually every police officer said, we believe that there was a pattern of burglaries. And what this exemplifies, I mean, it's not going to be a surprise to you that police officers lie. Anybody that's had any connection with a police officer, I used to be a criminal defense lawyer. In one of my cases, the judge said if it was a lying contest, I think the police officer would win in that particular case. So we don't have any doubt about that. But what's significant is that based on the case that we have, we now had some evidence to be able to, objective evidence to put forward to the judge. It's not just the police telling us this is how we keep neighborhoods safe. So you got to trust us. We're keeping you guys safe. It's really putting their evidence to the test. The judge in that particular circumstance found it very hard to believe that this was a legitimate stop based upon the data that we had been able to collect.